You're listening to Career Interrupted with your host, Joy Foster. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Erika Robinson, who's the UK General Manager at digital marketing platform Constant Contact. During her career, Erika has spent 2 decades working across strategy and finance for some of the UK's most recognizable brands, including financial software giant Intuit and mental health company Headspace. Erika is also a small business owner, so she has in-depth understanding of entrepreneurs' priorities and their predicaments. In 2019, just before the COVID pandemic, she founded Picnic, a children's play center that has employed over 30 people and welcomed 200,000 parents and children through its doors. Erika, I'm delighted to have you here on the Career Interrupted podcast, and you've had a couple career interruptions. Tell us about them.
Thank you so much for having me, Joy. I have indeed. Yes. Well, I have two children myself. They're a bit older now. They're 10 and 8. But like all working mums, that's, it's a hard juggle, isn't it? It's definitely a career interruption. And then, as you mentioned, I set up my own business at a time when I was really struggling and juggling and had two very young children at home. And I thought, this is getting too much. I want to set up my own business and get that my work-life balance in a better place. But then 4 months after starting my business, COVID hit, and yeah, things were going well. The business was doing well, and then suddenly it all fell apart very, very quickly, and I was forced to close for what turned out, what we didn't know at the time, but turned out to be the best part of 18 months closed or restricted opening.
Wow. And what's so unique about that part of your story is that you had a corporate career, but the juggle was just too much for you with little children. And there was burnout setting in. And it was like, I'm going to set up a business because this is going to give me more life balance. It's all going to, work out so much better. I can be around my kids more, etc. And then you set it up and you're going, and then suddenly everything's in lockdown and you have to shut the doors. That's a little bit of it's not even the trauma of setting up a business and then pretty much almost losing that business within 4 months, but it's also having left a corporate career that wasn't working for you as well. So these two major transitions and interruptions that happened at the same time. When you're sitting there having just launched this business, you're 4 months into it, and then it's wiped out because of COVID, something you have no control over. The stakes can't be higher. What was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say, because I'm sure there's lots of small business owners listening to this and saying, you set up a business for work-life balance. That was a little bit naive to start, like I set up my own business. I'd never worked harder. Like I gave up the full-time job and I was actually ended up working mornings, evenings, weekends, all hours. So that didn't quite work out. You know what it's like as a small business owner. I mean, especially that kind of bricks and mortar business. It's a children's play center. I was there cleaning, tidying, painting, making coffees, serving customers, being the chef, doing absolutely everything in those first couple of months until I managed to hire someone. But things had just started to turn around. Like 4 months in a life of a small business is actually quite a long time. I think back to that time and how I managed to turn it around from literally doing everything and working all hours under the sun to hiring my first center manager, having her, really pick up the reins and run all the operations for me, and actually feeling that we were in a good place and we were really popular. The parents loved us. We were getting a great reputation. We were full every play session. And then to go from that to, suddenly there were rumors around COVID and we weren't really sure what was going to happen, getting a little bit nervous to suddenly having to close the doors. Initially we thought, well, hopefully this is only going to be a week, maybe 2 weeks. I'd invested, everything I had into this business, and 4 months in, it wasn't, it was starting to make a little bit of money, but hadn't built up reserves. I didn't have any equity in the business. So I literally had enough cash to close the doors for 2 weeks, and that was it. And I had a team of 12, and we built up a great relationship with them. I felt very close to them and their families as well. I was really, really worried, would I be able to keep them on? So it was a really scary time. Yeah, very scary.
So you've got 12 employees that you've hired, they're working for you, and you've got 2 weeks of cash in the bank to make sure that they get paid. What was your biggest fear around what was going to happen after those 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, my worry, very much centered around them and their needs, but also the frustration with knowing that I'd created something that was really popular, the parents loved, the children loved, and knowing that it could just all be taken away for something that was completely beyond my control. There was no insurance. No insurance companies paid out for COVID, did they? So the government was still working out what kind of packages they could possibly offer businesses like mine to support. And I really genuinely thought that it was all going to fall apart. And yeah, I wasn't actually worried for me personally. I knew that I could go back to the corporate world. I could get myself another job, but it was just the frustration. I think that I felt like I'd created something that was, yeah, really popular and great, and knowing it just could fail just like that.
What was the most surprising thing that happened to you as you were going through this major career interruption where you can't even run this operation that you've set up? What surprised you?
So I think over time, so I actually, because of COVID, I actually had to go back to work, and fortunately, I had some great connections. I had an opportunity to go and work at Headspace at the time, but then I went on to other jobs as well. And the biggest surprise for me was actually the skills that I'd built up as a small business owner were really valuable within the workplace. And I was almost like I didn't want to talk about the fact that I set up a business, even though it was, successful. It actually survived COVID and it's still running. It's been almost 5 years now that it's been running. I didn't really want to talk about it on my CV and in my LinkedIn profile. I wasn't sure people would really value that time or those skills, because when I left the corporate world, I didn't actually intend to go back. So yeah, my surprise was that actually I could do both. I had a great team behind me at Picnic, and they could to run it. They were better at running a children's play centre than I was, to be completely honest. And actually, then my corporate career actually really took off in a way that I didn't expect. And every employer I've had has been actually really supportive and understanding to the fact that I am a small business owner. And in fact, at Constant Contact, especially, I am the ideal customer. I meet the ideal customer profile. So it really, like, the two go so well hand in hand that I really understand the kind of the needs of the small business owner. And when I first started talking to Constant Contact, I wasn't brilliant at digital marketing at all, to be honest. And I realized, actually, if I could be converted, if I could see the value in this software, in this tool, and how much it could free up my time and make my life so much easier, then I could see what it could do for, like, hundreds, even like thousands of other small businesses in the UK. And I felt really excited by that. And that's why I was so keen to, yeah, to move on into this role.
I love that. Well, we were joking before we started, or laughing about it. My very first email service provider that I used in my very, very first business was Constant Contact when I was back in the US, all the way back in 2003. They were real trailblazers then. And what's also pretty awesome is that they are now, in the UK and starting to build up their presence here. So talk about the needs that a small business owner has. Obviously you have set up a small business and you're now working on the corporate side, helping small businesses. What are the needs that a small business owner has that Constant Contact can solve?
Yeah, well, I think, the biggest one that we help with is with their bringing all their marketing into one place and supporting them with their marketing, because so many small business owners go into business because they have a skill or a passion in a certain area. They're not marketers, and they don't really want to be, and it's just something that, they have to do. So we make that easy for them and we give them time back. We use tools such as AI to take a lot of the pressure off. We make it so easy. So you can just write a few sentences and it creates. You mentioned the, Constant Contact. A lot of people know Constant Contact for email marketing, and that's what we were pioneers in back, 30 years ago. The company was founded, but since then, so many other features have been built into the tool. So all of your digital marketing, your social media posts, your online ads, your SEO, CRM, absolutely everything. It just brings it together. And like I say, you can just put a few sentences in, AI then writes it for you and then creates posts that work across all your different social media channels and puts it into a newsletter for you. And of course, you can edit it and tweak it and make it personal, but it's still you, but it's then like taking you and multiplying you multiple times to give you the resources that you need. And I think, I've worked in the big companies that have been talking about AI for probably nearly 10 years now. I think that's when they first started talking about it when I worked at Virgin Media. But at that point, it was such a huge investment for a business to make. It was very much, the limited to the very, very biggest companies that could benefit from it. So it's so lovely to see now that how AI can just help everybody, even businesses such as mine. And it's really leveling the playing field.
And at Picnic, presumably you're also using Constant Contact and all the features that it has. What have you enjoyed the most from a feature perspective in your own business?
Yeah, so I've loved playing around with it since I've started working at Constant Contact. So I think a couple of things that work for me. I was like I say, I'm not a digital marketer. I'm not good at it at all, and I was that exact customer that puts it off and puts it off. But the fact that I can just write one thing once and then it creates my Facebook and my Instagram posts and an email newsletter means, and I had all these contacts that wanted to hear from me that had ticked the box to say, yeah, I want an email from you. And I wasn't even emailing them, which is just crazy, really. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that because, and being a data person with a finance background and a strategy person, I love analyzing the data as well. So I love to see the results that everything I've done has and how I've been able to build up my subscriber base and things like that.
I love
I,
that. And that's something that we talk about a lot is that the sales are in the mails. That actually, if you've got a mailing list, people have said they want to hear from you, that you are leaving money on the table by not emailing them. And I think a lot of small business owners are afraid to hit that send button, to send those emails, to put that, their ideas and out on social media. And, they're afraid that, oh, if I'm going to email them too much, they're going to get they're going to want to unsubscribe. And we found over time, I love the data as well. We found over time about 25% of your list will unsubscribe, and part of that is going to be bounces. Emails will bounce 10 to 15% of the time, and then 10 to 15% of the time, in your case, the kids might grow up, they might not need to go to Picnic anymore, and it's not important for them. I've learned over the years not to worry about the people that unsubscribe or bounce, but you do have to replace them and to nurture those relationships. And we talk a lot about lead magnets and ways to generate leads. How have you generated leads in your own business using Constant Contact?
Well, actually, we've got this brilliant new tool that we've just launched, which is a lead magnet. We're launching it in the UK first, which is a brilliant tool. It's not actually out at the time of recording this podcast. By the time this podcast comes out, it will be, so I can talk about it. But it does mean I haven't actually had a chance to use it for my business yet, but I have had a chance to play around with it. And it's brilliant. It automates everything. It creates, you put the details in of your business and it comes up with recommended questions and a QR code. It designs it for you, and then you can put that lead magnet wherever you want. You can even print hard copies, and if you've got a kind of bricks and mortar business and put it put it in your shop, you can put it on your social posts as well. So it's a great way to generate leads, and we're really, really excited about that because it's actually something that we are offering completely free to everybody.
And that's one of the things for a lot of people just starting out in business, using software that they can trial for free or use for free to a certain extent that will help them get started. What are obviously pricing changes and things like that, but to get someone started in Constant Contact, is it a freemium offer? Do you start for free and then move up to paid?
Well, the lead magnet tool is completely free, unlimited, no time limits to that. You do have to sign up for the free trial first. And so we offer all our functionality completely free for 30 days. And then after that, the packages start from only £8 a month. So really, really, really good value when you think about how much it can support and grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you can start in your business for £8 a month is fantastic. Yeah, I just got my StreamYard bill for the whole year yesterday, and I thought, oh, software prices have gone up. So it's great to hear that not only is it a great tool for you as a business owner, but it's also a great tool that you're developing on the inside as a corporate general manager, which I think is absolutely incredible. As you've been navigating all of these career interruptions, children, the two maternity leaves that you've taken, and then building your business, and then almost losing your business because of COVID, and then getting a corporate job in order to sort of keep yourself going while you were building back up your business, and then deciding, hey, I actually love this corporate thing, and I'm progressing in your corporate career and really enjoying that. And then actually now you have the company on the side, and you're running you're running this corporate career. So you're doing both at the same time. Have you managed to find a life balance that works for you? Is it better now than it's ever been?
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm busy, but I love what I do. So, my day job is, it is my passion, I guess. So yeah, it doesn't feel like work if you're doing what you love. The business really runs itself. I'm very, very fortunate, touch wood, to have an amazing team, and I don't need to be hands-on at all. So they're there running the show. My center manager has been with me for almost 5 years now, and so my job is just to keep her happy, and then she does everything else. And yeah, so I do actually feel, you know, maybe my husband might disagree a little bit that I've got the work-life balance perfect right now, but yeah, and the children, they're 10 and 8 now, so they're getting to the point where they're more independent, but they still need me around. But I'm enjoying life, and so it definitely doesn't feel like the struggle that it was when they were much younger, and I was very, very busy in the corporate world.
Well, if you were to think or pinpoint a core thought that carried you through that whole time, all the ups and downs, all the challenges to get to where you are now, what would be that? What was a core thought that you leaned into?
I think probably not throughout the time, but my core thought, I'll probably answer that in two ways. So my core thought now is through the lessons that I've learned over the time, but now in my time at Constant Contact, is don't procrastinate, don't put something off, because you just need to get on with it, and the quicker you do it, the quicker you can get it off your plate and move on to the things that you do enjoy. So marketing was never something that I really enjoyed, to be honest, but now I carve half an hour of my day to get it done, and then I can move on to everything else that I like to do. So my kind of advice would be eat the frog and just get on with it and make sure you make the time. So, but that's a very recent thing. Yeah, and didn't get that right for the last 5 years. So, but it's an important lesson, I think, that I've learned more recently.
And it helps to have a tool that makes that easier for you, I'm sure. And that's
Exactly.
what's one of the reasons Constant Contact exists, I think, because you see a lot of business owners that have that same trait. They're afraid to use the digital side of things. They're afraid of digital marketing. They're afraid to hit send on those emails. And actually, if they can overcome the fear and use the tool, they'll benefit from the results. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And any core lessons that you've learned along the way? Like if you could look back and say, gosh, there's one or two lessons I can really take away from these experiences that I've had.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that procrastination. I think one of the core lessons I've learned is that small businesses are so agile compared to big businesses. I've got experience of both. And so make the most of that agility and just get on and do it and try something. Don't be afraid to try something, because if it doesn't work, you're not really losing anything. You just have to keep, like all entrepreneurs have to do this, right? You have to fail multiple times before you get it right. And if you're in a big business, you have to go through this whole lengthy process of analyzing, review, approval, sign off before you do anything. And that's still, no guarantee that it's going to work at the end of the day. So I think small businesses can look up to big businesses and think that they've got everything all buttoned up and know exactly what they're doing. But actually, it doesn't matter. You might be small, but you can just have a go and try, and you've really got nothing to lose.
I love that. Well, we're going to make sure that people can find you on LinkedIn in our show notes, and also connect with Constant Contact if they'd like to as well in the show notes. And we'll make sure that people can check out Picnic and where that is and connect with you. I want to say thank you so much for your time today and your brilliant wisdom and advice, and a fantastic and heroic story of overcoming some serious challenges to now come out the other side, not only with a corporate career, but also with a side hustle that is profitable and sustainable and growing. And I just think that is a real amazing story. And I appreciate that you came on to talk to us about it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was pretty awesome. Getting to hear someone who was brave and courageous and wanted to go from a corporate career to having her own business and then getting hit with COVID, all of those things. So we're really grateful that you were here to listen to that story. And we hope to bring you more stories like that on Career Interrupted so you can be inspired to get through that interruption and come out the other side stronger. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.